I returned to the day my grandfather died. My grandfather passed away. Elder uncle's family forced mine to pay 50,000 yuan for the funeral. With no other option, my parents went to sell their blood. But they accidentally contracted a blood-borne disease and passed away one after another. Opening my eyes again, I was back to being 15 years old. Today was the very day my relatives surrounded our house, coercing my parents to hand over money. Screams ripped through the silent night. "Oh no!" I jolted awake from the nightmare, cold sweat pouring, sitting bolt upright. The familiar yet strange room left me stunned. This seemed to be the room I had slept in since childhood. Old clay bricks, a cheap but clean wardrobe. The study desk my father built for me with his own hands. But wasn't this self-built house in the countryside sold by elder uncle after my parents passed away? Suddenly, the door was pushed open, and a gentle voice echoed in my ear. "Nyan Nyan, you just rest at home. Your parents have to go to your elder uncle's house. It seems your grandfather didn't make it." Seeing that face, tears instantly welled up. My mother was gone. But the mother from 15 years ago was alive and well, standing right before me. Was this a dream, or had I overdosed on sleeping pills and was hallucinating? I pinched myself hard and it hurt. But why were my palms so fair and smooth? Where were those ugly scars from knife cuts? "Nyan Nyan, what's wrong?" Mom saw my tear-streaked face and rushed to hug me in a panic, but I, as if maddened, dashed towards the dilapidated wardrobe. In the mirror, I clearly saw myself. Not the 30-year-old me, old and grief-stricken, but a young, innocent girl. I had truly returned to being 15. "Mom, Dad, I truly miss you two so much." I hugged them tightly, sobbing uncontrollably until I couldn't breathe. Mom also teared up, gently stroking my back. "Her father, why don't you go ahead? I'll stay with our child, she must have had a nightmare." My father pondered for a moment, his weather-beaten face revealing worry. He gently patted my head. "All right, my good Nyan Nyan, stay home with your mother and get a little more sleep." After saying that, he turned to leave. I quickly grabbed his arm, shouting, "Dad, don't go." He turned back, looking at me in surprise, a simple, honest farmer who didn't know how to express affection. And I, for so many years, had never treated him like this. Recalling all the heartbreaking events of my past life, I took a deep breath, wiped away my tears, and quickly organized my thoughts. I looked up, staring seriously at my parents. "Mom, Dad, listen to me. Today you both absolutely must stay home. Don't go anywhere." Mom looked bewildered. "What's wrong, child?" I continued. "A few days ago, I overheard our cousins saying that elder uncle's family has long had their eyes on our savings. Soon, they'll bring people to search for our savings passbook. I'll be out for a moment and we'll be right back. Mom and Dad, you absolutely must wait for me." In my past life, my parents also only intended to go to elder uncle's house to take a look, but on the way, they encountered elder uncle's aggressive group. They dragged a whole mob to our house. Then elder uncle and elder aunt loudly scolded my parents. The other relatives also swarmed in, starting to ransack everything in the house. Ultimately, out of filial piety and not wanting prolonged arguments, my parents reluctantly withdrew 50,000 yuan from their savings and gave it to elder uncle. But my parents were hardworking farmers, toiling every day to save every penny to send me to school. It took them so many years of hardship to accumulate that money. After handling my grandfather's funeral, for their livelihood, my parents were forced to sell their blood. However, during blood donation, they contracted a disease from unclean needles. In just one short year, both passed away, one after another. My tragic life, the destruction of my family, it all began today. In my past life, I struggled to survive alone. I toiled until I was 30, and every night I had to rely on sleeping pills just to get some rest. But heaven had mercy on me, granting me a chance to be reborn. This time, I absolutely would not allow anyone to step into my house and harm my parents. Section 12. Ignoring my parents' calls behind me, I quickly slipped on my sandals and rushed out of the house. Relying on vague memories from my past life, I deliberately avoided the path elder uncle and his group would take, running straight to the village's general store. It was dawn, and the village breeze brushed against my face, carrying the scent of a new beginning. Finally, I rushed to the general store's door, staring at the bewildered young woman. "Sister Fang, please, can I borrow your phone for a call?" The young woman stood by the drainage ditch, wearing a red jacket, holding a toothbrush, her mouth full of toothpaste foam, glaring at me. Call if you want to. It's 1 yuan per call. Put the money on the counter first. I had rushed out, not having time to bring any money. The villagers were selfish. No one would help me. Only this general store owner was my sole hope. She was an outsider who married into this village, taking an orphan. Both were unfortunate souls. According to village customs, I had to call her husband elder brother. 2 years ago, her husband was hit and killed by a car, leaving behind compensation money. She used that money to open the general store at the village entrance, taking care of her child while running the business. Widows were often subject to gossip, and unpleasant rumors always circulated around her. My mother never let me buy things here before. In my past life, Sister Fang also met with misfortune later on. I glanced at her red jacket, regained my composure, and bowed my head, pleading, "I'm sorry, sister, I forgot to bring money, but this call is really important. I promise to pay you double later." Recently, slider and flip phones were just starting to become popular. My parents always said they weren't educated enough and didn't know how to use smartphones, so they didn't buy one. To save money, our family didn't even have a landline. Whenever we needed to make a call, we had to go to the village chief's house. Sister Fang chuckled. "Double means 5 yuan." I nodded repeatedly, hastily dialed the number, my voice trembling. "Hello, I want a report to the police. Someone has died in Sheng family village." When I ran back home, panting, the front yard was already packed with people. Leading the crowd were elder uncle Sheng Dali and elder aunt Liu Chunhua, followed by many other relatives. Everything was exactly as in my past life. Elder uncle's face was grim, his tone aggressive. "Let me tell you, today you must hand over 50,000 yuan for the funeral. We're not the only children of that old man. Sheng you're also his son, don't be so ungrateful." Elder uncle's words rendered my father speechless. He could only lower his head and silently smoke his pipe. My mother's eyes were red as she tried to explain. "Our family will certainly contribute to the funeral expenses, but father has just passed away. Shouldn't we go there first to properly arrange the funeral?" "No, you must hand over the money first." Elder aunt crossed her arms over her chest, her stout figure blocking my mother, preventing her from leaving. The other relatives who had been silent also began to join in the scolding. "Sheng look at the kind of wife you married. Your father died and your wife is still stingy with the funeral money. What a disgrace to the family. Such a vicious woman won't live long." Spittle flew, hypocrisy rampant. My father was pushed to his limit and suddenly raised his head, growling, "My parents never cared for me since I was small. I grew up by salvaging scraps and living off charity. Now that he's gone, I will contribute to the funeral arrangements with my elder brother. But 50,000 yuan is out of the question. 20,000 is the most." "20,000? Are you giving alms to beggars?" Elder aunt shrieked. Again, it was the same as in my past life. They were like a swarm of bottomless, greedy insects. In my past life, my parents told me to stay in my room, trying their best to protect me. But this life, it was my turn to protect them. I immediately turned and ran into the kitchen, grabbed a cleaver, pushed through the crowd, and stood defiantly in front of my parents. Enemies meeting, eyes bloodshot. I raised the knife, pointing it directly at elder uncle and elder aunt's faces, yelling furiously, "Sheng Dali, Liu Chunhua, you two shameless bastards, how dare you trespass into my house? What are you trying to do, rob us?" Elder aunt was so frightened she stumbled back 2 steps. Elder uncle, red with anger, lunged forward, intending to slap me. My father quickly pulled me back. My mother also hurriedly stood in front of me, shielding me. "Elder brother, how can you hit Nyan? She's still just a child." Elder uncle angrily cursed. "This child is a child? What kind of child are you raising, Sheng If you can't teach her, I will." Elder aunt also sneered, growling, "You say you have no money, yet you can still send this girl to school? Compensation money or schooling? What's the point of studying? Sooner or later, she'll just be a woman cast aside, merely something for men to warm their beds. It's better to give that money to Sheng Rui. He's your real grandson. He'll take care of you in old age and your funerals too." My father was usually reserved, never speaking up, like a silent jar. But he was extremely protective of his daughter, especially unable to tolerate anyone scolding me. His fists clenched, he angrily raised a chair, ready to smash it down. "Liu Chunhua, you can curse me, but don't you dare touch my daughter." My mother, though also furious, still desperately clung to my father. "Don't hit him, there will be a murder. If something truly happens, it won't be settled with 20,000 or 50,000 yuan. Of course, I didn't want my father to get into trouble. In this life, I would deal with this trash myself. At this moment, my cousins, instigated by elder uncle, were about to rush into my parents' room and ransack everything. "Don't touch anything in our house." My parents tried to run and stop them, but were held tightly by the relatives behind them, forced to the ground. In my past life, it was these very same people who had cooperated so seamlessly. Back then, my parents could only watch helplessly as these robbers found the savings passbook. Their eyes lit up when they saw the number on it, shouting with glee, "Exactly 50,000 yuan." Then, ignoring my parents' pleas, they snatched the passbook. My parents, pressured by the mob, had no other choice but to bow their heads and withdraw 50,000 yuan to give to them. In the countryside back then, anyone deemed unfilial would be shamed for life, nailed to a pillar of disgrace. Just one accusation of unfilial piety was enough to make someone an outcast, spat upon until death. Before my eyes, a red haze. I raised the cleaver, firmly sliced down my own arm, and laughed coldly. "Go on, move, see if I dare to kill." Fresh blood flowed down my fair arm. A deep, gaping wound appeared before everyone's eyes. Elder uncle and elder aunt froze in their tracks. My mother burst into tears, rushing to hug me. Nyan, what are you doing?" But I coldly pushed her away, raised the knife, and smiled at elder uncle and elder aunt. "Come on, try to lay a hand on us one more time." Elder uncle recovered, bursting into contemptuous laughter. "Little brat, you dare to swing a knife at me? Come on, chop me. Let's see if you have the guts." Nyan, don't." My parents frantically grabbed my hands. I stared intently at elder uncle's neck where a blue vein throbbed. I truly wanted to cut him down, but I couldn't. I sneered, and the sharp cleaver cut down my left arm once more. The flesh peeled open, the wound terrifyingly deep. "Of course I won't kill you, but if I die right here, do you think my parents wouldn't risk their lives against you? Unless you kill all three of us right now." After saying that, I sliced myself again. "You're crazy," elder aunt shrieked, backing away several steps. Those who were rummaging through my parents' room also awkwardly stepped out, looking at me like a monster. I smiled faintly, slowly saying, "Perhaps you don't understand the law. Let me teach you a lesson. I am only 15 years old this year, a minor. If I kill you, I won't be held responsible. But if you kill me, you will be executed by firing squad." My words were a bit exaggerated, but in the eyes of these uneducated people, just hearing about police, law, those seemingly profound terms, was enough to terrify them. I stared directly into elder uncle's cloudy eyes, which reflected the image of a young girl covered in blood, feeling no pain, raising the knife and holding it close to his face. "No money, but 3 lives. Come on, kill our whole family if you dare." The last time, I raised the knife and brought it down hard on my wrist. I deliberately avoided the artery. I knew my body very well. In my past life, I had cut myself countless times. Before their pale faces, I slowly smiled. "Or you can try to lay a hand on us one more time and see if I kill you." The piercing sound of police sirens. 2 police officers in uniforms from the town police station pushed through the crowd, quickly entering. "What's going on here? What's happening? Who called the police?" I breathed a sigh of relief. Just in time, I quickly wiped the knife clean and kicked it towards elder aunt's feet. My eyes accidentally caught Sister Fang standing next to the police car, holding a handful of sunflower seeds, chewing and smiling with relish. I nodded gratefully at her. After all, she was the one who had brought the police here. A sharp pain struck. I winced, raised my bloodied arm, and with teary eyes rushed to hide behind a police officer, trembling and sobbing. "Officer, they broke into my house, beat my parents, ransacked our belongings looking for money, and even tried to kill me." Illegal trespassing, robbery, assault causing injury, each charge was enough to make elder uncle and his group suffer the consequences. The weak are naturally objects of pity. I was a minor, I was injured, I was a girl. These 3 factors combined with my family's pitiful circumstances tilted everything heavily in my favor. When my father was young, he was often sick, so his grandparents abandoned him, forcing him to live in an abandoned thatched hut, scavenging scraps and relying on others' charity to grow up. Fortunately, he met my mother, who didn't despise him, accepted to marry him, and built a life with him from nothing. My parents used the land allocated to them in the village to build a house, and they gave birth to me, their only daughter, cherished in the palms of their hands. Now, the grandfather who had once abandoned my father had died, yet he wanted my father to use all his savings to arrange his funeral. But all of my grandparents' land, house, and money had already been given to elder uncle. Besides giving birth to my father, they never raised him, never helped him, and even constantly cursed, insulted, and reviled my mother. Now that they were dead, they wanted us to pay for their funeral. What kind of absurdity was that? After hearing everything clearly, the police officer glared at elder uncle and elder aunt, yelling, "Your father has passed away, and instead of arranging the funeral, you're fighting over money and injuring others. What kind of children are you? Come with us to the station." "No, it's not like that, we didn't do it." Elder aunt panicked, hurriedly explaining, but my bloodied arm was the evidence. The police absolutely didn't believe her. After all, I was just a weak 15-year-old girl. Who would believe I could cut myself? After this incident, my reputation in the village quickly soured. Just mentioning my name, everyone would turn pale and stay away, whispering, "That Sheng family girl is crazy. Everyone in Sheng family village is related, yet she acted so ruthlessly, sending her whole family to spend a night at the police station." Due to being busy with the grandfather's funeral, the police released them the next day. Furthermore, according to the police, this was merely a civil dispute, not enough to constitute a criminal offense. I hadn't actually expected this incident to get them convicted. I had other plans. While the entire village was busily holding my grandfather's funeral, my parents took me to the county hospital to treat my wounds. Although the town clinic had bandaged the wounds, my parents were still worried about bone or tendon damage, insisting on getting an X-ray at the hospital to be at ease. "Nyan, you must never do such impulsive things again, understand? Your parents are still here. It's not your place to step up like that." I hugged my parents tightly, hiding my tear-streaked face. "But I want you both to be healthy. I want you both to be with me forever." My mother gently stroked my back. "Silly child, your parents can't be with you forever. There will come a day when you have to face this world alone." "No, we must be together forever," I firmly replied. "What I missed in my past life, I must make up for in this one." The doctor X-rayed and rebandaged my wounds, then surprisingly told my parents, "This injury looks serious, but it's actually just a superficial wound, not affecting any arteries." My mother looked at me thoughtfully, then hurried off to pay and get medicine. Seeing that gaze, my heart tensed. Did Mom suspect something? After getting the medicine, I pulled my parents to get a comprehensive health checkup. In my past life, just 1 month later, they were diagnosed with a blood disease. Although the illness was caused by selling plasma, I was worried they already had underlying health issues. Only with a full checkup could I truly be at ease. "What trick is this child playing now? You're the one who needs the checkup." My father anxiously tried to dissuade me. I turned back, my eyes full of pleading. "Mom, Dad, please trust me. I would never do anything to harm you too. Just get one comprehensive checkup, okay?" I was their only daughter. Even though I grew up in the countryside, my parents always cherished me like a treasure. I had never suffered hardships. I knew it was very hard for them to refuse me. While my parents were getting their checkups, I took the registration form and hurried towards the psychiatry department. A mentally ill person who kills is not held criminally responsible. I wasn't sure if, in the coming days of confrontation, I could control myself in front of that scum. So, I needed to prepare a protective charm for myself. This hospital, this psychiatry department, was actually a place I frequently visited in my past life. After my parents died, my mental state fell into severe instability. Initially, it was bipolar disorder, later progressing to psychosis. When the illness was severe, I lost control, harming both others and myself. Fortunately, back then, Dr. Wang in the psychiatry department took pity on me and repeatedly paid for my treatment out of his own pocket. Pushing the door open, I saw that familiar face, Dr. Wang. Of course, at this time, he was still young, not yet the head of the department, just a regular doctor. He smiled gently at me. "Sheng Nian, right? Where do you feel unwell?" I had interacted with him countless times in my past life. I knew exactly how to pretend to be a mentally ill patient. Perhaps I didn't even need to pretend anymore. Because up until the moment before my rebirth, I was already insane. I was still ill, but undeniably, he was a qualified psychiatrist who had helped me stabilize my emotions, which were on the verge of collapse. After our conversation, he gave me a psychological test. As I took the test, he observed me, muttering, "I feel like I've met you somewhere before." I calmly continued taking the test, controlling my answers, and casually replied, "Yes, Aunt Wang, my bad." I had accidentally used the address from my past life. But Dr. Wang just smiled. "It's all right, calling me Aunt Wang sounds more intimate anyway." The test finished, Dr. Wang picked up the results, stood up, and looked at me in astonishment. The result sheet clearly stated, "I suffer from mental illness." Of course, I had intentionally manipulated the results. Only then, if I were to truly cause serious trouble later, could I evade responsibility to the maximum extent. Dr. Wang suggested meeting my guardian, but I refused. At the same time, I promised him that I would take my medication on time and come for a follow-up appointment once a week. Fortunately, my parents had just given me some money, enough to cover today's consultation fee. At the hospital gate, many advertisements were posted. I stopped to look through them, finally found what I needed, and quickly tore down an advertisement for a plasma donation center. My parents' health checkup results were back. Both were very healthy. Only my mother had a mild herniated disc, otherwise no serious issues. I clutched the test results and the advertisement in my pocket, the anger in my heart almost ready to explode. Elder uncle, elder aunt, are you two ready to go to hell? On the day my grandfather was buried, our entire family had to attend. After all, filial piety demanded it. My father still had to be there to bid farewell to him one last time. As soon as our family arrived at elder uncle's doorstep, the villagers immediately began to whisper. "Look, Sheng Xiaofu's family is here too. That crazy Sheng Nian is also here. SHHH, don't provoke her. I heard she cuts her wrists like slicing cucumbers. Be careful, she might chop you." People whispered all around, some looking at me with curiosity. Hearing that we had arrived, elder aunt immediately grabbed a broom and rushed out, gritting her teeth. "What are you doing here? Get out of my sight right now." I raised my bandaged arm, baring my teeth in a smile. "To eat the feast, what else? I hope your family has feasts every day from now on. As long as someone dies, there's a party." As soon as I finished speaking, elder aunt was so furious she almost burst. She swung the broom, intending to hit me. My parents quickly shielded me. This time, they were finally strong. "Liu Chunhua, do you want to spend a few more days in jail?" Many people around rushed to intervene, and the situation temporarily calmed down. When it was time for the burial, elder aunt suddenly stopped me. "Sheng Nian is a girl. Sooner or later she'll belong to another family. For important matters like funerals, having Sheng Jiahua and Sheng Rui is enough. Besides, her zodiac sign, dog, clashes with the old man's. She shouldn't go to the farewell. Stay home." Whether I went or not wasn't important to me. I didn't care. Elder aunt didn't care either, but she deliberately did it to humiliate me and make things difficult for my parents. My father was about to retort, but I pulled his arm. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll wait for you both to come back." My grandfather's coffin was carried away amidst the sounds of drums and trumpets, slowly disappearing from view. The villagers left one by one, leaving only me and a few people responsible for the feast. I avoided their gazes, took the advertisement flyer from my pocket, and gently slipped it into elder uncle and elder aunt's room through the window crack. Such a good thing, of course, had to be saved for them. In the evening, after the funeral, everyone returned home to eat the feast. My parents also came back to pick me up. As soon as he saw me, elder uncle immediately glared and roared, "All right, you can get out of here now. From now on, our two families have no connection whatsoever." Elder aunt, using her plump hands to pick her teeth, eyed my parents with ridicule. Before, I used to think that even if you two couldn't have a son, as long as you treated Jiahua and Sheng Rui well, you'd at least have someone to arrange your funerals later. But now you two dare to oppose me. Fine, let's see who bothers to clean up your corpses when you die. What's the point of letting Sheng Nian study so much? To become a daughter-in-law for another family, I suppose. If you have too much money and don't know what to do with it, give it to Jiahua and Sheng Rui. We can generously forgive you too. Even at this point, she was still dreaming of impossible fantasies. Clearly, she was also a woman, yet she despised daughters. Only because she had given birth to two sons, she walked around with her nose in the air. In the minds of rural people, not being able to have a son was a disgrace. Without a son, there would be no one to carry on the family line. Without a son, no one to wear mourning clothes for the funeral procession. Without a son, one would die as a lonely wandering ghost, with no one to offer sacrifices, because in their eyes, daughters were not truly family. Fortunately, my father, thanks to his painful past, was very devoted to his family. He treated my mother very well and loved me dearly. More importantly, he didn't overly value carrying on the family line. Dad pulled my hand in Mom's, saying resolutely, "Let's go home." Before he could finish, the village chief's grandson came running, panting, holding a Nokia phone. "Sister Nyan Nyan, someone just called looking for you. They said it was your homeroom teacher, wanting to talk about you dropping out of school. You should call them back quickly." Silence suddenly fell all around. Elder Aunt was the first to burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha, Sheng didn't you and your wife always boast about this Sheng Nyan being so smart? Didn't you always brag about her getting into first high school, even dreaming of raising her to be a university student? Well, now what? First high school expelled her, didn't they? Ha ha ha." My mother, eyes red, stood in front of me, shielding me from all those insults and taunts. She firmly said, "Even if Nyan Nyan truly got expelled, so what? She will forever be my daughter and Sheng Xiaofu's daughter. Let alone dropping out, even if she does nothing her whole life, I am still willing to support her." This was my mother. No matter what mistakes I made outside, even if she might have started to suspect me at this moment, in her heart, I was still the most important, her only choice. I tried to hold back my tears, asking the village chief's grandson, Huan, are you sure my teacher said I was expelled?" The boy was stunned, then immediately exclaimed, No, your teacher said he was very regretful and didn't want you to drop out. He said you could definitely get into a prestigious university. He told you to call him back quickly. If you have any difficulties, just tell him. He can help you apply for a scholarship." Elder Aunt's eyes widened, she trembled, clutching her academically useless son, and shrieked, "Impossible." I smiled faintly. "Yes, how could it be? Sorry to disappoint everyone, but I voluntarily applied to drop out." Section 12 asterisk, repeated. I will assume it means a new paragraph following a thematic shift. The village road was dark. Occasionally, a few stray dogs barked, mosquitoes buzzed, and frogs croaked. From one end of the village to the other, even running fast, it would take 10 minutes. Such a long road at this moment became incredibly precious. One of my hands was bandaged, the other gripped my mother's hand. Beside me, my father walked close, protecting both of us. The family I had lost for 15 years, I feared this was just a dream. Feared that when I woke up, I would still be struggling in the darkness, barely surviving on medication, as lonely as a dog. I truly wanted to tell my parents how I had lived those 15 years without them, but I didn't dare. I was afraid they wouldn't believe in my rebirth, afraid they would think I was a monster. In the darkness, Mom suddenly spoke, her voice somewhat low. Nyan, when did you submit the dropout application?" I quietly clenched my hand, calmly replying, "The day I injured myself, Mom and Dad took me to the town clinic to get bandaged, and I took the opportunity to call my teacher." I patiently explained. Mom remained silent for a long time, then slowly said, "Tomorrow, you'll go to school to talk about dropping out, right? Which class are you in? Mom and Dad will take you." I instinctively froze. I didn't know if I was being overly sensitive, but Mom's words felt a bit strange. When I entered high school, my parents had directly gone to the school to help me with enrollment procedures. They shouldn't not know which class I was in. There was only one possibility. They were testing me, testing whether I was truly their daughter. I immediately chuckled, changing the subject. "Class 3, grade 10, Mom. Are you confused?" In the dark, I couldn't clearly see Mom's expression, but I felt her grip on my hand tight. "Okay, tomorrow Mom will take you. You are not dropping out." I shook my head, even though I knew they couldn't see my action. "Mom, Dad, I've decided. I'm not going to high school anymore." Their footsteps halted. Almost simultaneously, they blurted out, "If you don't study, what are you going to do?" The flickering light from the general store ahead. I stared at that small general store. I've made up my mind. I'm going to learn how to do business. After saying that, I ignored my parents, who were constantly calling my name, walked to the general store's door, and gently knocked. A lazy voice sounded from inside. "Who is it?" I adjusted my clothes, took a deep breath, and replied, "Sister Fang, it's me, Sheng Nyan. I'm here to pay my debt." Section 13. The door opened, and the lights came on. I solemnly closed the door. My parents and Sister Fang sat together in the narrow aisle of the general store. I had thought long and hard about whether to tell them the truth, that I was reborn. But I knew most people couldn't accept such strange things. They might even think I was mentally ill. I didn't want my parents to doubt me, nor did I want a distance between us. As for what I was about to do next, I absolutely had to involve Sister Fang. So, I decided to use a different way to explain the changes in the past few days and clarify my upcoming plans. The night my grandfather died, I had a nightmare. I dreamed that elder uncle and elder aunt dragged people to our house, ransacked the chests, found our family's savings passbook, and stole all our money. I dreamed that my parents, wanting to earn money for my education and make up for the stolen funds, went to work odd jobs and sell their blood, only to die tragically. When I recounted the part about selling plasma, I still retained a bit of rationality. I worried that if something happened to elder uncle's family later, my parents would suspect it was my doing. In my past life, after my parents passed away, I became an orphan. As I was underage, elder uncle and elder aunt became my legal guardians. They sold my parents' house, forbade me from going to school, and forced me to marry a scoundrel. They used my betrothal money to buy a house for my cousin, Sheng Jiahua. I accidentally overheard a shocking truth. My parents' deaths were caused by elder uncle and elder aunt. After that, I fortunately escaped their house in a strange way. In reality, my life was even more miserable than what I described. This world was much crueler than the dream my parents had once created for me. How could I bear to tell them everything? I refused the forced marriage and was beaten by elder uncle and elder aunt until I was half dead. That night, I lay dying and shivering in the pigsty, my eyes temporarily blind. I vaguely heard footsteps passing by. Someone was laughing and talking to elder uncle. "If you need anything later, just tell me, I'll bring it to you." Elder uncle's laughter echoed in the air, seemingly praising that person for being understanding. He slowly walked past the pigsty. I mustered all my strength to crawl towards the fence, like a drowning person grasping at a straw. I grabbed his pant leg, my voice trembling. "Help, help me." Section 14. He looked down at me, sighed softly. "What a sin." Then he brushed my hand away and left. I thought I would die there. I don't know how much time passed, but the croaking of frogs in the fields grew louder and louder. Someone approached from afar, picked me up, gently wiped my face clean, and put a warm jacket on me. He gently instructed, "Sheng Nian, I can only help you this far, you absolutely must be strong." After saying that, he turned to instruct the person next to him. "You must take her out of town, take her to the county, find a safe place, and then let her go." Across from him, another man with a deep voice said, "Meng Sheng has parked the car at the foot of the mountain, shall I carry her out?" He sneered, "She's just a little girl, like a sister to me. Don't you have any bad intentions? Take her out carefully, here's your money." After saying that, he turned on his flashlight. The faint light shone down, and he carefully carried me on his back, step by step, slowly walking towards the foot of the mountain. When I woke up, I was in a makeshift inn in the county. At this point, my gaze slowly settled on Sister Fang. Perhaps the night air was a bit chilly. She pulled out a red jacket from somewhere and draped it over her shoulders. Seeing me staring, she irritably glanced at me. "Just keep telling your dream." I shook my head, softly saying, "No, that wasn't a dream. Sister, that was the truth. You don't know it yet, but in my past life when I woke up, there was only a red jacket next to me, the very one you're wearing now." After that, I began a life of running and struggling against elder uncle's family. Later, when I grew up, they couldn't control me anymore. I met a kind doctor, Dr. Wang, who provided free psychological treatment for me. I lived vaguely, just barely getting by. Until I was 30, I overdosed on sleeping pills. Section 15. Inside the general store, it was so quiet that I could even hear Sister Fang's daughter's breathing as she slept. Finally, my mother burst into tears first. Her body went limp, and she knelt down, trembling as she caressed my face, her voice choked. "It was so hard, wasn't it, Nyan? 15 years. You endured 15 years alone. Without Mom and Dad by your side, was your life miserable? I'm sorry I couldn't protect you." My tears streamed down, unable to be held back any longer. I threw myself into my mother's arms, hugging her tightly, shaking my head repeatedly. "It wasn't hard, I wasn't hard at all, Mom. Everything I said was fake, just a dream." While crying, I tried to force a smile. "See, I'm fine now. That was just a dream." I tried to convince myself, and at the same time, convince my mother. Mom held me tightly, tears silently flowing down her face, muttering, "Yes, just a dream, just a dream." Everything was completely different from what I had imagined. I thought my mother would question me, even think I was possessed. But she didn't ask anything, she was just heartbroken. Heartbroken because I had lived such a miserable life in my past, heartbroken because I had fought this world alone. My father's eyes were red, and he silently hugged both me and my mother. At this moment, Sister Fang broke the silent atmosphere. "So, did you just come here to cry?" I took a deep breath, wiped away my tears, and stared at her intently. "No, I want to make a deal with you. In the next 2 years, you will drown in the swallow pond ahead. Due to insufficient evidence, the police will conclude it was a suicide. Your daughter will be sent to an orphanage, but my elder uncle's family, they will have bought this general store. Thanks to that, they will receive unexpected compensation money, enough to buy an existing house. Yes, this was Sister Fang's fate in my past life, and it was closely related to my elder uncle's family. Seeing her troubled expression, I quickly said, I'm not going to high school anymore. For me, that's too slow. Knowledge can change destiny, this is always true. But going to high school and then university isn't the most suitable choice for me right now. Education has too many uncertainties. Even if I graduate from university, I might not find a stable job. But if I seize the opportunities of this era right now, I can rise with the tide. I'm very scared that one day I'll return to my past life, scared that my parents will face misfortune again. So, what must I do right now? I must leave my parents with many things so they won't have to worry about money, won't have to sell their blood to make a living anymore. I plan to go to Hangzhou to study at a specialized school for new technology, e-commerce, and internet operations. Do you want to come with me? In my dream, decades later, e-commerce will still be the leading industry, digital currency will appear, and people will no longer use paper money but their phones to pay. If we leverage this trend now, our future will be very prosperous. From Taobao, JD, Pinduoduo, Douyin, Qxu, to WeChat official accounts, all are about to explode. Having a chance to live again, I must utilize all limited resources. Section 16. Actually, I wasn't sure if I could convince my parents and Sister Fang. After all, if someone claimed they dreamed of the future and invited me to a strange city to do something completely new, I would also be confused. I might even think that person wanted to swindle money or was crazy. But my parents were the most important people in my life. And Sister Fang, she had helped me once. She was the one who carried me out of the pigsty, helping me escape elder uncle's family's torture. I couldn't bear to see her die unjustly. What surprised me was that Sister Fang smiled faintly, walked over, and patted my shoulder, her tone teasing. Little Nyan, are you sure you can help me make money? Her eyes shone incredibly brightly. I solemnly nodded. I will definitely protect everyone. I will help everyone live better than they do now. Sister Fang smiled radiantly. Okay, I believe you. From today, I'll follow you. Tell me your plan. What do you intend to do? My parents also nodded. We also believe in you. Do whatever you want. This was great. This time, I was no longer alone, but before going to Hangzhou, I still had one important thing to do: deal with elder uncle's family. Section 17. Oh, not opening for business today? Where are you going? Elder Aunt stood in front of the general store. Seeing Sister Fang close the shop, she immediately asked curiously. Seeing that reaction, Sister Fang looked annoyed, not wanting to say much, and just walked around her, intending to leave. Noticing her reaction, Elder Aunt felt even more that something was strange. She rolled her eyes, then raised her plump hands to block Sister Fang. Hey, speak clearly. What good news are you being so secretive about? Sister Fang had no choice but to grit her teeth, glance around, then lean close to her ear and whisper. My friend in Bao County, there are some special cheap houses there. Limited quantity, only 3 left, you have to hurry and buy one. Buying a house was no longer a new thing. My cousin, Sheng Jiahua, was also of marriageable age. He was dating a girl from the town who demanded a house and a car. Initially, Elder Aunt disagreed, but the girl's family was well off, and my cousin was head over heels for her. So, recently, their whole family was troubled by this matter. Now, they happened to need a house and heard about cheap houses. Wasn't this like someone sleepy finding a pillow? Although Sister Fang was an outsider, she had lived here for many years, was well-educated, and knew many friends in the county. Elder Aunt knew this, so she trusted her without any doubt. She hastily said, "Give me the contact information for buying the house. Save one for me. You absolutely must save one for me." After saying that, she immediately turned around, wiggling her stout body, and scurried home. Waiting until her figure completely disappeared, I stepped out from behind the general store. Seeing my pensive face, Sister Fang couldn't help but tease. What's wrong, getting soft-hearted? I shook my head. I'm just thinking about how much longer I have to delay here. Sister Fang asked, are the dropout procedures done? I nodded, yes. Sister Fang asked again, how much money has your family collected? Are you going to buy that old house? If it's not enough, I'll help you think of a way. I firmly replied, buy it. My parents have gone to the Rural Credit Cooperative to borrow money. You should also buy an old house in that area. I looked at Sister Fang, my eyes deep. In the future, that area will be redeveloped. As I expected, Elder Aunt did not disappoint me. Very soon, the entire village knew that Elder Uncle's family had poured all their money into buying cheap houses in the county. Now, even Elder Uncle's face looked noticeably brighter. Elder Uncle's whole family was overjoyed and decided to hold a grand banquet 3 days later. They even specifically invited my family to attend. I knew this was to show off, and also to humiliate my parents. A free meal, it would be a waste not to eat. My parents and Sister Fang sat at the same table, quietly eating, listening to Elder Uncle and Elder Aunt take turns showing off, deliberately displaying their smugness right in front of my parents. Oh dear, Shang raising a son is still better, you know? Look at your Shang Nian, isn't she just a useless daughter, always spending money? As for my family, we've already bought a new house. This time, I was no longer angry, because very soon, Elder Uncle's Nokia phone in his pocket would ring. Sure enough, less than 2 minutes later, his phone rang. Elder Uncle's face lit up and he eagerly answered. Hello, yes, this is me. That's right, I bought a house in Pinglai district. Is there a problem? Suddenly, he screamed in anger, almost falling to the ground. Impossible, impossible. Where's my title deed? Where's my title deed? Elder Aunt immediately turned pale, running over in a panic, anxiously asking, What's wrong? What happened? He hung up. Elder Uncle, as if gone mad, raised his hand and slapped Elder Aunt, sending her sprawling to the ground. You utterly stupid woman, it's all your fault. If it weren't for your greed for cheap things, how could our money have been swindled away? Go die. He furiously punched and kicked Elder Aunt, ignoring the crowd standing around, ignoring my cousins crying and begging. It wasn't me, Fang Fang tricked me. Elder Aunt wailed and writhed on the ground. In reality, the so-called cheap houses were a scam. In my past life, many people fell into this trap, but Elder Uncle and Elder Aunt were not among them. Because at that time, my cousin was dating a girl from town who loved money and despised poverty, so they intentionally bought an old house to impress her. Unexpectedly, they got lucky. A few years later, that area was rezoned, and their house became eligible for compensation and demolition. But this time, that opportunity was snatched away by me. With my own hands, I had turned their dream into a nightmare. Just then, the village chief's phone rang. The noise was too loud to hear clearly. He put it on speaker. Hello. A professional voice came from the other end of the line. May I ask if this is Ms. Shang Nian? We are Alibaba Company in Hangzhou. Our CEO has received your letter and is very interested in your internet development plan. We cordially invite you to Hangzhou for study and exchange. When would you be available for us to book your flight? Elder Uncle's entire courtyard fell silent instantly. Elder Aunt shrieked mournfully. No, I don't believe it. Why? Why is my family bankrupt while this girl has an opportunity to advance? Why does her life get better after dropping out of school? I smiled faintly, slowly replying, because this is what your family owes mine. In my past life, through countless long nights, I tormented myself with sorrow. Only the internet was the sole place where I could find release. It was once my only friend. Now, it will also be the ticket that takes me into a new world. I coldly looked at the scene before me, took my parents' and Sister Fang's hands, and left in silence. Section 19. I asked someone in Hangzhou to buy a plane ticket for Sister Fang first. After all, this time she had helped me trick Elder Aunt. I didn't know what Elder Uncle's family, when they went mad, might do. Sister Fang resold her general store, and in the darkness of the night, holding her luggage and her child, she stood at the foot of the mountain, ready to leave. I went to see her off alone. In the dead of night, she suddenly smiled, her eyes glistening with tears. Shang Nian, she rummaged through her suitcase, took out a red jacket, and slowly handed it to me. I can only go this far with you for now. You must be strong. I'll wait for you and your aunt and uncle in Hangzhou. In that moment, I suddenly remembered my past life, also a dark night like this, also a red jacket like this, also her, gently encouraging me. Shang Nian, I can only help you this far. You must be strong on your own. Fortunately, in this life, everything was still in time to change. Sister Fang left, but the battle between me and Elder Uncle's family was not yet over. In fact, this was only a one-sided battle from my perspective. They would never know that I was the one who had secretly manipulated everything. Before leaving, I told my parents to fence off our garden. Even though we were about to leave our hometown, the old house still had to be kept. For my parents, this place was their roots. Initially, they didn't want to come with me, but as soon as I looked at them with tears in my eyes, they softened. I said, I'm scared of nightmares. I'm scared I'll go back to that dream. They no longer hesitated. They were ready to accompany me. 3 days after Elder Uncle's family went bankrupt, they fought violently, destroying all the furniture in their house. 7 days later, they received a call from the police station. The stolen money could not be recovered. 15 days later, my cousin was dumped by his fiancée in town. From then on, he no longer had the chance to ransack our house for money. On the 28th day after Elder Uncle's family went bankrupt, those who had once arrogantly stormed into my house to steal money were now crowded outside Elder Uncle's gate, beating him black and blue. They were the relatives who had lent Elder Uncle money to buy the house. On the 30th day after Elder Uncle's family went bankrupt, Elder Uncle and Elder Aunt, in their search for a last glimmer of hope, found a thin flyer under the bed. Like a drowning person grasping at a straw, they dazedly walked out of the village, boarded the bus to the Plasma Donation Center. They were walking the path my parents had once walked in my past life. This was the nightmare I had carefully woven for them. On the 60th day after Elder Uncle's family went bankrupt, Elder Uncle and Elder Aunt simultaneously collapsed, vomiting, and were rushed to the hospital. Diagnosed with a rare blood disease, incurable, they were sure to die. The hand of fate finally pointed to the outcome I most desired. The day my father learned the truth, the news traveled back, and my father opened a bottle of Urguadu liquor, poured me a full glass. He drank it all himself first, then his eyes red, he stared at me. Sheng Nian, did you do this? Did you do these things? I picked up the glass of liquor, drank it all in one gulp, looked directly into my father's eyes, my voice hoarse. Yes, my wickedness cannot be hidden. I'm very afraid that you'll see me like this, but I had no other choice. My father's eyes became even redder. Dad, I'm sorry, I couldn't protect you. I was about to comfort him when my mother rushed out from the kitchen. She slammed a bowl of fish soup onto the table in front of my father, her face cold, without a trace of her usual gentleness. She sternly yelled, Sheng Xiaofu, don't you dare act superior to our daughter. I warn you, if it weren't for her, the ones who would be dead are you and I. You're not afraid of death, but I am. You think she killed your elder brother. If they weren't greedy, would they have fallen into the trap? I beg you, use your brain a little. Don't always try to be a good person. If you're not satisfied, we'll divorce. You can stay in Sheng family village and take care of your elder brother. Nian and I will go to Hangzhou. My mother spoke continuously, giving my father no chance to retort. My father stood up in a panic, hurriedly saying, No, that's not what I meant. I'm just worried if the police investigate our daughter. What then? I'm worried about her. I calmly smiled, took out a piece of paper from my clothes, and gently placed it on the table. Dad, don't worry, I didn't directly participate. Besides, I have this. Dad tremblingly took it. It was densely covered with writing, a certificate of mental illness. In my past life, I had been diagnosed with this disease. In this life, I intentionally went for a re-diagnosis. My father clutched the paper tightly. The tall man suddenly sank to the ground, weeping like a child. Nian, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. On the 100th day after Elder Uncle's family went bankrupt, Elder Uncle and Elder Aunt died of their blood disease. On the same day, my parents and I boarded a flight to Hangzhou. The sky was clear blue, layers of clouds piled high. I looked down, as if I could see white mourning ribbons fluttering below with the ordinary moon, but I would forever remain above these clouds. Epilogue, 15 years later in Hangzhou *. They call me CEO Su. This is my 15th year in Hangzhou, and also the 15th year my life changed. I meticulously applied makeup, wore a custom-tailored high-end suit and exquisite high heels. No matter which corner of the company I walked into, everyone bowed respectfully. Hello, CEO Su. This is the life of a wealthy person, a life I once dared not dream of. In these 15 years, Sheng Nian and I never stopped for a second. For the first 5 years, we joined Alibaba. At that time, Alibaba was still just an ordinary company. We learned knowledge while researching online business. Sheng Nian earned a formal bachelor's degree, and I also earned a part-time bachelor's degree. For the next 5 years, Sheng Nian was sponsored by Alibaba to study abroad, improving her skills. I chose to stay and work in the company, taking care of my child and her parents. In the last 5 years, Sheng Nian returned to establish her own internet empire. She created a new media platform, built a brand under her own name, and I chose to leave Alibaba to stand by her side. I often ask myself, if not for Sheng Nian, what would my life have been like? Perhaps I really would have drowned in Swallow Pond as in the dream 15 years ago, an anonymous death unknown to anyone. I was just a widow who married into Sheng family village from another place, scorned, teased, trampled upon, but Sheng Nian saved me. She held my hand and led me to a broader sky. She gave me a new life. At the celebration party, I got drunk and leaned my head on Sheng Nian's shoulder, sobbing. Nian Nian, thank you. Thank you for saving me. Sheng Nian, wearing a high-end evening gown, bore no trace of the mad girl she once was. She gently hugged me, softly whispering in my ear, "Sister Fang, you saved me." That night I had a very long dream. I dreamed I returned to Sheng family village. I dreamed I was still the owner of the small general store. I dreamed of Sheng Nian, covered in wounds. A 15-year-old Sheng Nian, a weak, scared Sheng Nian, not the sharp, decisive CEO Sheng Nian I knew. Suddenly I realized perhaps this was Sheng Nian's past life that she once mentioned. I was like an outsider, swept along by the currents of time. I witnessed her family's house being ransacked, their savings stolen. I witnessed her parents contracting illness and passing away. That day, when I brought cigarettes to Sheng Dali, I saw Sheng Nian dying, locked in the pigsty. A thin hand desperately clung to my skirt. In her dark eyes, a tiny flicker of light shone as she trembled and pleaded, "Help, help me!" I called a friend who specialized in deliveries, asking him to take her out of the village. After that, I heard nothing more about her. I didn't even dwell on it. Until a few years later, Sheng Dali pushed me into the pond. He coerced me, asking where my husband's compensation money was. If I didn't tell him, he would kill both me and my daughter. He forced me to write a property transfer, forced me to withdraw money. But in the end, he still killed me. He held me down at the bottom of the pond. Mud and dirty water filled my nose and mouth. But in that moment, my mind was strangely clear. Suddenly, I remembered the image of a little girl. That little girl had clung to the pigsty fence, sobbing, calling out to me, "Help, help me!" And then I went mad, thrashing and screaming underwater. "Save me!" A flash of white light. I felt as if I had pierced through endless darkness, transcended endless time. I woke up. I was standing in front of the general store, wearing a red jacket, holding a toothbrush, rinsing my mouth under the sunlight. The 15-year-old Sheng Nian ran up, wearing slippers, frantically calling out to me, "Sister Fang, please, can I borrow your phone? This is very important." I suddenly understood the true meaning of "save me." It turned out that from the beginning to the end, she and I were always saving each other. I smiled, curving my lips as I said, "1 yuan per call." Epilogue, Dr. Wang ***. A young nurse ran into my office, panting as she reported, "Chief Dr. Sheng Nian sent you flowers again?" I put down my pen, looked at the bouquet in her hand, and said helplessly, "Just leave them there." Then I picked up my phone to call Sheng Nian. It was noisy on the other end. It sounded like she was in a meeting. Well, she was a CEO now. I was about to hang up, but she unexpectedly answered, her voice carrying a gentle smile. "Aunt Wang, how have you been lately?" I nodded slightly, then remembered she couldn't see me, so I answered aloud, "I'm well, and you?" "I'm also doing great. Are you sure you don't want to come and be the director of my hospital?" I helplessly declined. "No need, I'm used to living in this small town." I heard that Sheng Nian had built a charity hospital specializing in providing free psychological counseling services for the poor. The first time I met her, I found her very strange. She was gloomy yet full of vitality, defeated yet stubbornly determined. It wasn't until I saw the scars on her wrists and heard that she had cut herself during the conflict with her elder uncle's family. At that time, I thought a girl who could be so cruel to herself would definitely achieve great things later, but if not guided in the right direction, she would become a dangerous criminal. Fortunately, she chose the right path. Now she is a successful entrepreneur, an elite of society. I am proud of her. That night I had another long dream. In the dream, Sheng Nian was not like she is now. I found her huddled by the roadside, mentally unstable, so I brought her back to the hospital. She told me about her life. It turned out she was an orphan. She pleaded with me not to reveal the whereabouts of elder uncle and elder aunt. She didn't want to be forced into marriage. I thought I could save her, but she constantly tried to escape the hospital, wanting to die with elder uncle's family. The wounds on her body grew more numerous, all self-inflicted. She always huddled in a corner, crying and begging me, "Aunt Wang, please let me die, let me leave this world." But I am a doctor. A doctor's duty is to save lives. I knew she was in great pain, but I couldn't let her die. Gradually, she began to recover. She went out to live independently, worked, and lived like a normal person. I thought she was truly cured. Until that day, she overdosed on sleeping pills, taking her last breath. Next to her was a small note. Aunt Wang, thank you for taking care of me all these years. Don't be sad, I'm going to find my parents now. The wind blew gently, tears fell silently. I seemed to see a middle-aged couple holding hands with a girl. They were finally reunited.